All right, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Fans Union for the fans by the fans. Here for another lovely NFL night. Had a big weekend last weekend. That big slate. I think it sounded a little redundant the way I said it first. But neither here nor there. I'm joined by my lovely get, as almost a guest, my lovely co-host Graham Logan. How you fellas doing?
Splendid. I know Graham's living on an all-time high right now, man. I ain't seen him smiling like this starting a pod all year.
An NFL one at least.
Yes.
Not on a Wednesday at least, but yeah, man, always feels good to be in the winner circle at least for a week. So to the victor goes the
Well,
spoils. When it's my time to spoil, I'll do just that.
hey, you know what, bro? I'm never gonna tell anybody, no matter the circumstances, to not enjoy their team winning a game, and I'm never gonna do that. Um,
And they always say winning cures everything.
yes, especially in this situation. But we're gonna go the same format that we've kind of done, just quickly running through a little tidbit of each game. Um, Lots of good football on this weekend. Lots of very questionable football on this weekend. Mainly, kind of a big week of blowouts. I'm looking here. I'm looking at one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, 9, 10, 11, 12 games. I said a lot of good football. I lied. 12 games this week decided by two possessions or more.
I just want to point out something for you. Excuse me. I want to point out something, Joey. We talked about it last week, like looking into this week, like not a lot of good games. There's only like three somewhat good games, you know? And I remember mentioning that, and I was watching the Pat McAfee show. So Sunday slate had one game that was decided by one possession. That was the first time since 1970 that had happened. So
Wow.
just a lot of bad. Or I don't know about bad football, but a lot of teams taking care of weaker opponents. It seems like.
Yeah.
And then the one game that was a one score game, I think, was a three-score game at one point, and then the mighty Jets came flying in.
That's right. Yeah, we're gonna get to that in a little bit. But first, we're gonna get kicked off with the like always, the Thursday night game. Um, Undoubtedly, sorry, my Google thing started tripping. Undoubtedly a shellacking, if you will. Um, the It was a Vikings at the Chargers. Uh, Vikings winning, or excuse me, Chargers winning dominant fashion, 37-10. That game got ugly pretty quick. From the second half on, it was pretty ugly. Um, it's I honestly I thought the two playoff teams in the NFC North this year were going to be the Packers and the Vikings. And I thought the Lions could maybe sneak in, but I thought those two teams would be the top. Uh, I totally whipped on that. I was dead wrong. One thing that I kind of took away from this was, and this is no indictment on McConnell as KMC as a coach for the Vikings. Very good coach, very smart offensive mind, a quarterback's best friend. But I think we all have the kind of unfair expectation um, that in this league on any team that you can put any quarterback in any system, no matter who the coach is, and they can be successful. Um, that's proven to not be the case in this one. Obviously, the defense looks a little shaky against. I mean, Chargers are going to be a wild card team. They're likely going to be in the playoffs. If I had to guess, but yeah, just they just from all facets could not get it going in Minnesota. Um, I'm looking here. Let's see. They this year are kind of middle of the pack in total yards allowed. Um, so bottom 10 and points per game with allowing about 23 a game. So uh just this looks like a team that just can't get on the same page on either side of the ball. But I think really the quarterback story is the biggest because last year we had Sam Darnold kind of played himself into a contract in Seattle and he's looking pretty good this year as well. So again, no indictment upon McConnell as a coach, but again, I think we had the unfair expectation that any quarterback in his system is going to thrive, and I think that's what kind of we're seeing the results of that one here.
I don't know if that's more on Kevin O'Connell or more just Carson Wentz is not that guy, to be honest.
I'm saying it has nothing to do with McConnell. It has nothing to do. I'm just saying in this league, you can't, no matter what the system is, you can't just plug a quarterback in.
I think there's a handful of backup quarterbacks that would be having the Vikings in a better spot. But I think one of the Vikings' biggest problems, like you were touching on, their defense. Their defense has been very underwhelming this year. I mean, I really thought they could be like a top 5 defense in the league, personally, and they just haven't done that. Maybe my expectations were too high. I mean, that's possible. But I definitely thought the Vikings would have a much better defense, and I thought their defense would kind of be able to carry this offense in a sense of I thought with the young quarterback, you're going to go through great growing pains. Obviously, JJ got hurt, but this is my thoughts going into the year. And having Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, obviously, you got some dogs. Aaron Jones, which he's been hurt a lot of the year also. So, I mean, they definitely have some key players out with JJ and Aaron Jones missing a lot of time. But, yeah, this Vikings one I would say is a bit surprising. But also the Chargers have been surprising. They've looked a lot better than I expected. I expected them to be solid, but I think they've looked very good. So, I think they've kind of tell of both tapes on this one. Chargers look better than expected. Vikings haven't looked quite as good as I expected.
I know Graham's a big Jay Herbo guy. I know he's always been pretty big on him.
I wouldn't say that, but I will say I was big on this Vikings defense, especially I would say through 4 weeks of this exact season. Nevertheless, I don't think either side of the ball is terrible. Obviously, when you're playing with a backup, regardless of how you want to rank, 1 through 32's backups, there's still a ceiling to that. And obviously, it's really hard when you've got a team that's going into a season with a young quarterback. I think it's almost more important for you to nail home any of those philosophy things that need to be, taken care of in those first few weeks, or seasons can really snowball. And unfortunately, I see that kind of playing out with Minnesota. Neither side is bad. Like I said, they're just not playing complimentary football, like Joey said. So this loss doesn't necessarily come by a surprise, but the fashion in which it came by was shocking. They really got the doors beat off of them that night. So
yeah, and like after, because when McConkey caught that touchdown at the end of the half, they really never looked back.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty ugly from there.
Never good when a good defense doesn't respond coming out in that next half, like you're saying. That was
yeah, exactly. But again, the league is weird because, like any professional league, anybody can beat anybody. Obviously, your chances are just way more limited in the NFL with a 17-game season. But I don't think there's a window closed for Minnesota at all. But the Packers and Lions, I think, are quickly closing that gap of being kind of the runaway teams from this division. And this was arguably the best division of football last year. Maybe inarguably. All but the Bears made the playoffs. Look, the West might kind of do that this year. But guess we can move on to a game that before Graham gets into his lovely spiel about the Jets' big win, talk about the Falcons have 4 losses on the season. One of them, I hate the word good loss because I don't think that's a thing. But a very competitive loss to Tampa. Very competitive loss to Tampa to kick the season off. But since then, had 2 absolute just fireable offense losses to Carolina by 30, and now Miami Dolphins. Can't believe I'm about to say this out loud. Win 34-10 against the Falcons, and really that's closer than it looked. The Falcons came in one of the best rushing attacks in the league against the worst rushing defense in the NFL, and the Falcons responded, getting everything officially pulled up. Bijan Robinson, one of the best players in the league this year, had 25 carries, 25 yards. If that tells you anything, only 9 carries. That's another story. But we got outgained by 100 yards, almost 141 to the Falcons' 45 rushing yards. They more than doubled our amount of first downs. Third down went 2 for 11. They went 6 for 13. And time of possession, 37-22. And we turned the ball over. They didn't. You do all those things, you're not going to win in the NFL unless you're the anomaly, the Chiefs, like they were a few years. You're one of those squads. Maybe the Eagles now, you can get away with that. The Falcons, you can't get away with that. What really kills me about these guys is the week when the lows are low. I just really guess all the losses, especially the two that I mentioned just a second ago, including this one, they just totally look unprepared. I'm not really super mad about the San Francisco loss, but the coaching gap was insurmountable. It was just it jumped off the page more than anything. Now, of course, Michael Penix is out with an injury. Drake London's out, so that doesn't help anything. When Darnell Mooney has to be your receiver one, it's probably going to be a long night for you. But Kirk again, I mean, there was a lot kind of not. You could tell that he's trying to get his feet back. Hadn't taken a meaningful snap in a long time. Zach Robinson has officially crossed himself, and Raheem Morris for that matter, into fireable territory. They couldn't. There's no offensive rhythm they could establish. We're getting whipped up front the whole game, and I mean this defense. I mean, I consider anything under 350 yards a decent defensive performance, if you will. But there were just drives where I felt like they could not get stops at all. Offense was anemic. This is about as bad of a loss you can conjure up. So you lose to arguably the worst team in the NFL, and get your doors blown off. That's to me that's being unprepared. That's the lack of coaching in this, or I guess effective coaching in this franchise right now is maddening. And this weekend, going into that's a terrible loss to have going into New England, with the Colts right after that. Two teams that are really finding their rhythm. So, yeah, pretty bleak to say the least. I'm not feeling good about things, but yeah, that's just kind of my and 2 or 3 4 touchdowns, by the way.
Yeah, that's insane. Halloween is Friday, and I think Raheem Morris, Zach Robinson was doing their early costumes of just dressing up like clowns and completely calling games like one. Because why do either one of these guys have a job right now is beyond me. Never really believed in Raheem Morris from the moment he was hired. Did not think it was the greatest hiring, but I thought the Falcons have enough talent to where they could be something. Seemed like this year there's a lot of high hopes. Maybe part of that is Penix getting his first full year underneath his belt and like finally taking over the offensive reins, and like finally giving the keys in the off season and going into the season, all that. But I mean, obviously he's out this game, but just all together this year's been very lackluster to say the least. And looking at the playoff picture right now, you're chasing the Lions, Rams, and the Niners for a wild card spot. And Buccaneers, you might as well kiss the division goodbye because don't see that happening. Them boys are rolling. And I don't see us catching the Lions at all. Definitely don't know how confident I am about trying to catch the Rams. And then the Niners, if they're doing all this banged up, let them boys get some guys back, and they're going to be a problem as well. I just looking at the playoff picture, it's like, yeah, you might as well kiss it goodbye for the Falcons. I think I have zero faith in them. Joey thrashed me on this podcast after the Bills win, told me how bad of my takes were and all of this, and then they just dropped 2 duds in a row. That makes it be like, oh, this is the Falcons team I was talking about. Granted, Joey was right. The Falcons team he was talking about arrived against the Bills, but since that game, the Falcons team that I was not having a lot of faith in has kind of showed up. And not saying you were wrong, Joey, but not saying you were right, I guess, because this team is just very up and down. They've shown us weeks where you get excited. You beat the Vikings, that's exciting. You beat the Bills, that's exciting, especially on prime time. But then you come out, like you said, and have 2 losses that easily could make a man lose a job. So kind of surprised the fire Raheem thing is not a little louder around Atlanta, to be honest.
I mean, I think it's a foregone conclusion he's out at the end of the season.
Do it now.
But I assume, I mean, you got to assume if you're, ownership, you still feel you guys can be competitive. And as long as you are assuming that, Falcons have no reason to throw in a towel for the season. They don't need to. It's 10 more games left. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily see a lot of good happening, but the opportunity certainly is there to do so.
One thing I will say too, yes, it's the Dolphins and they should have won, but I will say in the Falcons' defense, or not really the Falcons, but Raheem Morris, I guess in this case, you are missing wide receiver 1, like you said, Drake London. Let's not forget they just released wide receiver 3 a couple weeks ago, and then on top of that, you got Kirk Cousins, like you're saying, finally taking a meaningful stat. You said trying to get back on his feet. Don't know if you had a pun intended there or not, but literally he's still recovering from an injury. Hasn't gotten a lot of playing time since last year when he had his horrible 4 or 5 weeks in a row. Trade deadline's coming up, and one name I would love for the Falcons to go after, who's had a very underwhelming season, but I think could be a pretty good pickup for maybe not a high draft stock. Jerry Jeudy. That man has had a solid career. This year he's not looked good, but the Browns as a whole haven't looked good. I would love to see the Falcons try to go out and make a little splash and go after a guy like Jerry Jeudy, someone I think that can provide some good skill to the offense, maybe benefit a little bit Drake London being on the other side of him, and I think he's someone who could really play a factor in somebody. I know he just signed the extension. I think it was like 3 years, $17 million a year or something like that. But I could really see Jerry Jeudy being a target for some of these teams on the fringe of the playoffs, or maybe just trying to maybe like the Bills, someone who's just trying to solidify themselves, as a real contender. So maybe that's random. Maybe it's early to talk trades, but I think the deadline's like a week or two away. I think it's pretty soon.
This next week.
Okay, yeah. So
next Tuesday.
I mean, don't really know why he came to mind, but I was thinking about it the other day, and Jerry Jeudy really comes to my mind as someone like the Bills or the Falcons should go after, in my opinion.
I think they clearly have to make a receiver move at the deadline. They just know There's no doubt about it. I think another name you might see is maybe Jacoby Myers.
He's another guy you could probably get low stock because he's not looked good this year at all. But then again, Geno's looked terrible as well.
He's been hurt too, so who knows?
Yeah, I mean, Jacoby Myers, Jerry Jeudy. I know they've mentioned Brandon Cooks with Saints, and there was somebody else. I don't see the Falcons and Saints really making a move, but maybe for a team like the Bills. It was Brandon Cooks and then the other guy on the Saints. Not Olave, the other one. Shakir or something like that. What's his name? I'm blanking on it. It's like Shakir or something.
God, I can't think of it either.
I don't know. That guy, though. If someone listening hopefully is like, oh, screaming it at me, and I'm blanking. But
I've watched several things too where I'm like, oh my God, it's so easy.
Rahid.
Yes.
Yeah, it's something like that. I don't know.
That's who it is.
Okay.
Shakir is for the Bills. He's also a pretty good slot receiver who I was like, I don't see them giving him up for lightly, but I also don't see the Saints giving up Shaheed with Olave's injury issues, but he definitely is one of those guys that I think is worth making a push for, at least making a call about while we're talking about receivers at deadlines. I don't know if you guys are probably looking for more of an X type with London being hurt, but if Los Angeles is trying to let Tutu Atwell go, I think anybody who's trying to make a playoff push is worth looking into him, man. That guy is super electric. I think he's like wide receiver 4 or 5 in that offense. So if you can make a push for him and get him more involved in an offense, that'd be worth something. But
do you guys ever read those Bleacher Report for any sport trade deadline moves that need to happen, or like that don't be surprised they happen? Side note, I read a basketball one. It said the Spurs were going to trade for LeBron James.
Bleacher Report sucks. Their trade deadline things are horrible every time.
This season?
Yes, bro.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, exactly. Not to get off track there, but it's just funny seeing a lot of the trade predictions.
I don't think anyone's going to have to give up that as much as you'd have to give up for Braun for Tutu Atwell. So I might still want to get at me about that, man. But yeah, I think both of y'all covered the Falcons and all they BS, pretty vividly. I don't know.
I will say too, if you guys haven't listened, before I pass it over to Graham, 680 The Fan did a really good interview with Rich McKay where they really called him on his, which is the Falcons CEO, president, who said he has no say over football operations, but came off very disingenuous. So I suggest you all going and watch that. They did a really good job on that. But nonetheless, Graham, Jets get their first win of the season. A long diehard fan like yourself, very well deserving. Talk to me.
Man, couldn't be more delighted with getting the first win of the season in the way that we got it, because I do feel like There were a few games this season where the Jets could have easily walked away with a win, had one or two things went differently. I actually saw like the Kelly rankings or one of those like notable like ranking sites had put out a graphic about like the what if rankings in the NFL and like what teams' records would be if one possession games went in the opposite direction, and the Jets would be like fourth in the AFC. It was something crazy like that, but there were a couple other teams on there that wouldn't surprise fans if they saw what their team was ranked there either. But needless to say, man, always good to get a dub. There was 5 or 6 not lead changes, but the Jets were down 5 or 6 different scores, during different parts of that game. I wasn't able to watch most of it because we're obviously out of that region here in Atlanta, so it was difficult for me to catch it, but I was able to get bits and pieces of that second half. And man, so many rounds of applause that I could go around and give for both sides of the ball, but I'm going to kind of try and stick to 2 main guys on each side. Obviously, we got to give it up to Big Brees. Maybe not his best game as a Jet, because I do think he had a game against the Broncos in his rookie year where he went absolutely insane in either the snow or like some really terrible weather on the road. But he got us out a sneaky dub that game. And I think he ran for like $173 that game and caught one. He either way, one of his best games, but probably his most impactful game as a Jet, as a leader and as a player. Super proud of him in the way that he carried himself, even throwing a touchdown to the rookie Mason Taylor. Actually double clutched the throw too. Kind of ran out towards the flats.
Oh yeah, he did throw a touchdown.
Bite down on it, and he pumped and he caught him. And what a big man play from Mason Taylor, going up and getting it from the top floor, bro. I know that was like a smaller DB he went over, but hey, that's a rookie player for the Jets at that. Have been historically bad with tight ends. So to draft one in the second round who is kind of distinguished as one of the better tight ends of his class, and to be getting him involved in the offense this early. Also want to give a big one up to him, but he's not my second player. It's got to be Justin Fields. Shouts to Justin Fields coming back through a week of adversity on all fronts. I know I'm not breaking any news, by telling or, highlighting the situation between him and Woody this week. Him responding to some of those bullshit comments that Woody made at media days, I think during the owner meetings or something like that.
Yeah, that was bad.
It'd be, move number 999 from Woody, as far as like things he's done to not work for the betterment of this football team. Guys notoriously basically been the second worst owner in the league until they got rid of Snyder, and now he is numero uno. And continues to show his ass in every regard. So not going to give him too much, time. But shouts to Justin Fields, bouncing back in every way. He had been holding the ball too long this year. Let's call a spade a spade. The numbers prove it. Your O-line is not bad. This is the best O-line that you have statistically played for your whole entire career. You were holding the ball too long for 3 weeks. You were going to be justified to getting benched for Tyrod this week had Tyrod not got hurt. However, you stepped up. You did what professionals are supposed to do and say, you know what, no matter what happened Monday through, Saturday this week, I'm getting paid $30 million guaranteed to come out and do what I'm about to do this Sunday. And damn it, he did it. He got the Jets a win. The defense as a whole, I want to give a shout out to that whole secondary. We got rookies like Malachi Moore. We got guys like Brandon Stevens, who we picked up from the Jaguars, who were playing like dog shit the first 3 weeks. And a lot of people don't watch games in general, especially teams like the Jets. I don't expect a casual to really see the trajectory and the growth that Brandon Stevens has had this year. But I said this guy by name, I think twice on this very podcast, and said this guy is one of the, more poor defenders on this team right now. He's a sore spot. He's what teams are picking on and exploiting. And man, he stepped up. He has solidified himself as a CB2 on this team. Malachi Moore, yeah, he made some, rookie mistakes, especially in run defense by being a little bit too eager. But damn it, it's good to finally see somebody be eager to make a tackle on run defense. We hadn't had that. And that's the stuff that you need. I understand everyone was calling for AG's head, Aaron Glenn's head, after going 0-7. But let's be realistic here. We shouldn't, and really couldn't have had playoff expectations for this team if we were being realistic.
1,000%.
I said it before week 1 and week 0, basically on this podcast with you fellas. We need to be looking for the small things week after week with this team, cutting down on penalties. I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but neither Cincinnati or New York, I think, had more than 5 penalties in this game. Neither team was horrible in penalties. They were just playing. It was shootout defense. But when the defense needed to step up, they did. And AG actually made some critical calls, like going for a 2-point conversion when he could have played it safe, that actually won the Jets this game because they did win by 1. So shouts to everyone holding their nuts this week and saying, you know what? The game is about having fun and winning. The fans come out to win. We all come out to want to win. And this team is slowly but surely, I think, putting together the pieces in their identity that they need to do that. I think we did a lot of things week 1 against Pittsburgh to do that. And then we kind of took some steps back. And it's going to be easy to do that within this team and in this media because everyone's expecting you to lose every week. But that's not what you're supposed to play the game for. You're supposed to play the game to win. And the boys did it this week. I know I've rambled enough. And I'll touch on the trade whenever we get on that. But
go ahead.
I guess I wanted to open the floor to y'all if y'all had any 2 cents for the game itself before I jumped into that.
I was just gonna say, I mean, nothing too elaborate, but I always thought the calling of AG's heads was a bit premature and unfair. Yeah, it's. I mean, I just looked at it. 5-1 score loss. I mean, 1 possession losses. You know what I mean? Like, and that's you don't want to lose. Obviously, like you said, nobody enjoys losing. But I mean, these guys clearly are bought in. There's things that aren't happening. I know I've seen a lot of talking heads say this is the worst team I've ever seen. No, it's not. We've seen way worse teams than this.
No Sauce or no Garrett this week either. I do want to point that out. And so, like, we were just talking about coaches and how we can justifiably say, Raheem, we want your head because there are teams that are worse than your roster who went out without their wide receiver 1, and their CB1 and got a dub on the road. It's about putting the pieces together with your guys week after week. And I think that's what Raheem is struggling with more so. I struggle to find the identity of this Falcons team. I can't even really point out who the big leader is to me, to be honest with you. And I'm not trying to shit on them. But you gotta address those by this point in the tenure for Raheem. We way too late in the game to be asking those questions. But I know we got to move, and I'll hit on the trade a little bit later. But you want to hit on New England, Joey?
Yeah. To me, I mean, Drake May submitting himself one of the best quarterbacks in the league this year.
He definitely is.
Just short of 300 yards, but God, man, he's been.
Hey, before we move on, I do want to talk about the Jets game.
Okay.
I do want to jump
off that.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, he said Patriots. Time out, y'all are skipping.
That's my bad.
One thing I want to mention, we talked about it with the Colts kind of rallying around Jim Irsay this year. It did kind of feel like this is the Jets rallying around the Mangold situation. I know I mentioned it last night, but once again, RP Mangold.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so it does kind of feel like that situation. Backs against the wall. You're down, I think it was 16 in the fourth or 15, something like that. Yeah, I think it was 31-16. So down 15 in the fourth, you rally back. Justin Fields showed some great bounce back with adversity or whatever. Shows up, throws for 244, takes care of the ball. Neither team had a turnover in this game, so both teams offensively took care of the ball. If you tell me Joe Flacco loses in a shootout to the Jets, I'm thinking he probably has an interception or two. He doesn't. I mean, P. Ryan ran the ball really good for the Cincinnati. Breece Hall had a great game, obviously, like Graham touched on. But I will say one shocking stat when you look at it is if you told me the Jets and Bengals were playing and a quarterback had a rushing touchdown, I would have never said Joe Flacco had it. That's something that's bonkers to see in 2025. Trying to run through this real quick because I'm not trying to spend too much longer on this. But I made this comparison earlier in the year, and this is also why I don't like the Aaron Glenn calling for his head. It's year one, relax. I made the comparison earlier in the year. The Jets kind of have a weird fight about them like the Lions did when Dan Campbell took over. Aaron Glenn coming from the Lions, reason why I tie that in. So the Lions year one for Dan Campbell, they started off, I think it was 0-9-1. It was week. Let me see. Hold on, it's loading. Week 13 is when they got their first win under
Yeah,
Dan Campbell.
I thought they went 0-12, bro. I was gonna say.
Yeah. So it was 0-10-1, and then they got their first win against Minnesota. They won by 2. So they also were losing 16-14, 13-10, tied to Pittsburgh. They have a 19-17 loss, another 19-17 loss, a 24-14 loss, 41-33, and that is very similar to the Jets. Like it seems like the Jets. Some weeks, I won't lie, it feels like the Jets are doing the right thing and building the right culture. There's been a couple weeks where you kind of scratching your head because you got Woody Johnson talking shit about your starting quarterback. What are we doing? You just paid this man how much money, and now you're talking trash 8 weeks in. Like, don't understand that. But I do still like a week like this week reminds me of the first early stages of the Dan Campbell changing the Lions culture. Maybe I'm grasping at straws trying to make that comparison, but I remember talking about earlier this year, and it's like, yeah, you're losing, but it does feel like the turn of the tide is like the wave's building. You just got to let it crest and fall down, you know? And that's kind of where we're at with Campbell is like they're at the crest of getting past the sore loser stuff, or not sore loser, but the losing ways. The crest has fallen, and I mean they're building a much bigger wave now to where it's winning ways. Looks good every week, and I mean when the Lions are on football at this point, like our own TV at this point, whatever, you're damn near picking the Lions every week to win. Like that's how good of a team they have, and I know that's a long stretch for the Jets right now, but I just see a lot of similarities in the 2021 Lions and then the 2025 Jets. And hopefully in 4 years, Graham, we can sit here and you can have a huge smile on your face because everyone's just picking the Jets because they're looking so good and Aaron Glenn turned them around. But I do want to kind of throw that out there. It's like calling for Aaron Glenn's head already. It's like, let's not forget Dan Campbell was 0-10-1. Like, you know, and look at them now. Like, you got to give these coaches who are taking over these horrendous teams who have been bad for a very long time. No offense, Graham. But when you're taking over a situation like that, give the guy like some
You
time
speaking
to establish.
factually correct, man. You
But
speaking
I'm
factually
just saying,
correct,
like,
brother. Could never be
I
mad at
know
you.
it's New York, right? But I mean, I know it's New York, but it's like give Aaron Glenn some time. Like, you know, like I'm not saying he is going to turn him into what Dan Campbell has the Lions in, but also you don't know until you give him the shot. So I'm happy to see the Jets bounce back. I feel bad for Tyrod Taylor. This man's career, he's had an okay career when he's getting the opportunity to start. And I was going to ask, like, I thought Tyrod Taylor was starting this game. I didn't know he got hurt until you just said that, Graham. So I feel bad for Tyrod Taylor here. That Tyrod
It's kind of a
Taylor,
game time decision thing, and I think during warmups it still didn't look right. And at that
okay.
point, it was like we knew Fields would get the start. But thank you so much for shouting out, the OG Big Nick, man. He 41 years old when he passed away. God rest his soul. My favorite Jet of all time, just as a human being. As a player, of course, is Revis, but as a person, and I mean this seriously, it was always, Nick Mango, bro. We did get behind him. I do think that dub went personally, out of respect, straight to him. And he deserves plenty more. I hope all the success this team hopefully comes into all goes into credit for guys like him because honestly, been a lot of piece of shit Jets that have run through that building as well during my time as a fan for this team. I've watched guys act like asses in our own locker room and at our own stadium, plenty of times. So to have a stand-up guy like Nick, who literally is considered an all NFL caliber player, but also to be a great man, father and husband, I'm sure. Shouts to Big Nick. Shouts to Logan for shouting him out. Can't believe I missed out on that, but you already know the fan union. We giving big props to Big Nick, man. A one of a kind Jet. Big shouts to Big Nick, man.
I want to jump in and say Graham's not BSing. Me and Joey talked about being at a Falcons game and running into a Jets Nick Mangold jersey. Graham had just as much praise for him 3 or 4 weeks before all the tragedy happened. So don't think this is blowing smoke. My man Graham was on Nick Mangold's bandwagon, whatever you want to call it, 3-4 weeks ago before I even knew he had a kidney situation going on. So Graham's not BSing you guys.
Yeah, that was
I never knew how much love he had up in them, Buckeye ends as well. He a legendary Buckeye as well. So, they showed him plenty of love as well. So shout out to all the Buckeyes for that too, man.
Yeah, Rex Ryan, I'm sure you guys saw, was on set crying. So that was tough to watch.
So speaking of that, so I didn't know this until it happened, like the interview, but Pat McAfee at the end of his show the day after or the day that then it was announced, whatever, he had AJ Hawk say some words because they were Buckeye teammates. I didn't realize they were roommates for 4 years in Ohio State. I did not know that. And apparently they're like super close. Like AJ Hawk said on there, his wife called and let him know the news, and he kind of, when he got the call, knew something wasn't right, And it kind of like Rex Ryan, it puts that lump in your throat, watching a grown man break down like that. And you can tell when Pat McAfee first like turns it over to AJ Hawk to speak on Nick Mangold, it was rough for him to speak. You could kind of hear it in his voice and see it in his face. And it's just, this is one part I hate about sports is like when you see these guys who are put up on a pedestal and some things happen, and then you have to witness people who literally make or not literally, but usually make you laugh and bring you joy, but then you see them down. To me, that always hits a little harder. So definitely a rough watch watching Rex Ryan and AJ Hawk talk about it, but it's good to see everybody giving the man his flowers, So well deserved.
Yeah, indeed. Well, definitely well worth a few minutes on this show. Salute to the Mangold family. It's going to be tough, but at least they see the legacy that Nick left behind. So,
Absolutely. Yep.
on to the next game, to be the Patriots and Cleveland at New England. The Patriots, another dominant victory, 32-13. Drake May, I think, submitting himself, like I said, as one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. 5 in passing yards per game, or total passing yards. Tied for 6 in touchdowns with 15. The leap that he's taken over, between last season and this season is unreal. I don't think any quarterback's really made that jump like we've seen him make. And another thing I just want to point out real quick, one of the weirdest games ever, because Myles Garrett had 5 sacks and they lost by 3 touchdowns. The absolute, what is more Cleveland Browns than that?
Losing, that's all.
Yeah.
Hey, he might have slung his helmet harder than he tried to hit Mason Rudolph with that one time on the sideline. And I'm trying to figure out why, bro. This how shit been damn near your whole career. Like,
and you resigned there, buddy.
I understand why the fans are giving him so much shit about that. Like, if you're gonna resign for that much money and still be in your prime, you need to be a leader, bro. Like, you're good enough. Why not? If not, go get traded and be a mercenary. Just go get sacks for the highest bidder who's trying to win or do what you want. But I know Logan will have plenty to enlighten us on with the stats and everything that go into, the analytics with this one. But I did just want to drop that off after you touched on Myles, man. He played his ass off and had one of the best games, of this season. I'm sure we'll see. But, how he acted at the end of that game, you know what you signed up for. Exactly like you said, man. You know what this is. So give it a break, man. Give it a rest, pal.
Dude, it feels like when you got like the toxic ex, but then like they just drop their clothes in front of you, and you're like, oh shit, you do got a banging body, and you just fall into that trap. That's what Myles Garrett did. He's like, Cleveland sucks. This is horrible. I want to. Oh, money? Yeah, I'm all for it. And then now he's realizing like, damn, this shit does suck. I was right before, So it's just kind of like, I don't know. I really don't have much to say. One reason why I was perfectly fine with going in on the Falcons and the Jets game is because this slate kind of stinks. We talked about it. There's a lot of blowouts. There's going to be a lot of these games. I don't have too much to say. I agree with Joey, although on this specific game, Drake May looks like a guy. Makes me wonder if Vrabes coming in and just resetting that culture back to like a Belichick style way is making a difference. Obviously, there's some growth in there for Drake May and things of that nature, but
he didn't even have a wide receiver 1 last year, y'all. I don't think he did. So
yeah,
I always
felt he wasn't bad last year.
I didn't even feel like he was bad last year. He was just playing with so much behind him, almost like what one arm tied behind his back. So yeah, man, sky's the limit for Drake though, and that is tough coming from me as a Jets fan. But I ain't never gonna be a hater to the point to where I'll object the truth. Drake May is definitely looking like that guy, and he looking like at least the second best, quarterback from his class, because he was in the same class with Jaden, right?
Yeah, he was the number 2 pick, number 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think he was number 3.
Yeah, I think it was 3. That's what I was thinking. It was 3.
Mm-hmm.
But New England, man, first class ownership, top notch coaching. This is a product of it. This is what's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
I think the disgusting part is like you're just moving along every week. Not once are you seeing the Patriots on your screen or on your like scheduling and be like, I want to watch that game this week. But then you blink, you look, and you're like, what do you mean they're 5-2? You know what I mean? Like it just seems like the old school Patriots. It seems like the Patriots way is back. And it's disgusting to say that, but it's just like you kind of overlook them, and then it feels like we're going to blink and playoffs are going to be happening, and then you're like, wait, what? They have a bye week or something like that. Granted, I'm not
Yeah,
saying that's going to happen this year, but
I feel
just
bad
feels
for
like
whoever
under
has
the
to.
radar.
My fault, bro. I didn't mean to talk over
No,
you.
you're
My
good.
bad.
You're good. Go ahead.
I feel bad for whoever has to play him this weekend. I'll tell you that.
Why you say that, Joe?
The Falcons play him.
Oh shit. You funny as
I was kind of
hell.
confused too. I'm like, it's
Oh,
got to
man,
be
what's
either
going
Jets or
on?
Falcons.
Yeah. On to the next game. Philadelphia or New York at Philadelphia. Obviously, last time these two played, Philadelphia kind of got the doors beat off, and it made a lot of people question, hey, what's going on there? Well, they left nothing, no stone unturned in this one. Win by 18. Saquon Barkley kind of had his, I'm back. I don't know, maybe it's him back for the season. Had a huge game. Had 150 on the ground. I think he, how many rushing yards do you have? I'm getting it pulled up right now. So what?
150.
No, I said receiving yards.
Oh, I thought you said rushing. I don't
I
know.
think he had I thought he had over 200 total yards.
Hey, I'm gonna just say this: Saquon Barkley could be 65, and they say, "Hey, wake up, put on a helmet. We got to go play the Giants," and I think he's gonna rush for 100. Like,
Yeah,
he's just gonna torture them the rest of his career. I feel like
it's like okay, it's like him and the Giants, Luca and the Mavs.
yeah,
Like it's gonna be like that every time these guys line up against each other.
yep.
Every single time. But are we watching are we watching Philly get back to that Super Bowl form? Like me and Logan talked about a couple weeks ago. Winning cures all, but I mean, I know there's again legitimate reports out there that keep getting more vivid about AJ Brown's frustration. They said they're not moving off him this season, no matter what. He's going to be an Eagle, which I mean, he's a fantastic receiver. He should be, but man, you never know when you got a bunch of men making millions how it's going to go. But I think Philly's definitely hitting that stride.
Absolutely. I think Philly's getting back into the groove of it. I will say seeing Scatterbo go down in this game is very, very heartbreaking. That man's looked great. The energy surrounding him and Dart when they take the field, and then you lose Neighbors, and then you lose Scatterbo, and you're just like, dude, it feels like the Giants were finally getting a little bit of mojo, like they were exciting and young to watch, and you see Neighbors go out, now you got Scatterbo go out, and it's just like, man, it just sucks. Sometimes, I mean, maybe I'm a little biased because obviously I'm rooting for Dart, but it's just sometimes you get these young teams that are just exciting to kind of watch grow up together. Kind of like the Bengals back in the day were like that with Higgins, Chase, and Joe Burrow. Like their first couple of years, it was just fun to watch a team that's usually not been good recently be good, and then they're young and they're growing together. They're having fun. Like it's always fun to watch a team like that, and that's how I felt about the Giants this year. And it just sucks to see Neighbors and now Scatterbo, and it's just really sucks seeing young guys like that go out. So that's my biggest takeaway from this game is Eagles look like they're back, and it sucks to see the Giants lose another key player to what should be their future.
No, that's well said, Logan. And I think with you doing an excellent job hitting on some of those points about the Giants, I'll go ahead and shed a little bit more light on the Eagles and this playoff push that you guys was, just kind of hinting at. I don't think they'll get off AJ or they'll, get rid of AJ this offseason, but we do know who they or not this offseason, but before deadline. But we do know who they did deal off, and that's John Mechie. They made a trade with my Jets today to get Michael Carter. I do think both teams made out well with this trade. The Eagles are still trying to shore up that defense. Vic Fangio is a superior coordinator in this league, an OG at that. So plenty of experience and plenty of wisdom and insight at all the positions in the backfield over there. But we know that Michael's going to be playing that slot corner position. A lot of fans from other teams probably don't know that Michael Carter is I think the top highest paid nickel corner in the league. Robert Saleh and Ulbrich decided to do that with how he was developing, in their system, and it was justified at the time. However, I would be, objectively, I wouldn't be, being accurate if I said that Michael Carter wasn't one of the sore spots on the defense early on in this season. He had some struggles on the back half of last season, and then this season there were just some moments where I don't know if it was necessarily him in the system, or maybe he was just burnt out with the situation in New York, which I won't ever put past anybody because I'm definitely not gonna hop on here and shit on Mike. I think he is a top player, and he definitely deserved the contract he got with us. But in the position that you're in with New York, you had to get off that contract, especially for a player that we went and traded for Jarvis Brown-Lee from the Titans, and he actually made the game-winning play for us this week against Cincinnati. He's been lights out since he came in, and he's looking like he's actually taking that position. So you end up addressing your wide receiver 2 need with picking up Mechie and a 6th-round pick and swapping a 7th and Michael Carter to the Eagles. I think Vic Fangio is going to look to, revitalize Michael, Carter's career, and I'm hoping that it happens. And the Jets are obviously trying to give Garrett a running mate, another receiver who can get open and make explosive plays in open space like Mechie when he's healthy. I know all of us, remember those days from him in college. I never projected him to be in the position that he, is in right now in the league. I definitely thought he would, be still on the team that drafted him, lighting it up. But both teams made out pretty well, and I do think Micah is going to help them in that playoff push that you was just hitting that, Joey, for sure. Because the offense pretty much just has to beat itself every week. That defense is who kind of needed like some personnel changes. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Yeah, I think
a couple Paulding County guys in the Eagles locker room now.
That's the Pico for sure.
But excuse me, I think someone at work mentioned like, oh, imagine being a Jets player and get traded to, or imagine being an Eagles player and get traded to the Jets. Like you got a shot at a Super Bowl. And I'm like, dude, if I'm Mechie, just put me on the field. I don't care who for. Like at this, kind of like you're saying, Graham, like no one expected Mechie to be in this spot in his career. Like everyone kind of thought he would kind of thrive. But there's a lot of receivers in that receiver room in Houston, and kind of the same thing in Philly, where this could be a perfect opportunity for him to excel his career and, maybe make it a longer career than what it looked like might only be 4 or 5 seasons. Like now he's got a real shot to go next to Garrett Wilson and not have a defense blanketing them because they're focused on Garrett. He can get in there and, get into action and hopefully turn his career around and put it on the trajectory that we all kind of thought it would be, which is going to be a solid NFL receiver. So I think it's a huge move for both teams. It makes sense for the Eagles to go get somebody to solidify their defensive back needs whenever they're trying to make a playoff push and hopefully repeat in the Super Bowl. And they trade a guy, Mechie, who they've used twice all year. And I think it was like weeks 1 and 2 or 2 and 3, something like that. It was way early on. So this trade to me just makes sense for all parties. And I'm excited to start seeing some moving pieces. It's always fun trade deadline to see who does what and who's folding and who's, trying to actually make a difference. So Eagles never stop making moves. They traded for Tank Bigsby 3-4 weeks ago. They're making another move for Carter. They're always looking to get better. That's one thing I like about the Eagles is they're not scared to go after it. And overall, I think this trade makes team.
They objectively got they objectively got a top 5 nickel in the league for a 6th round and a wide receiver 5 for you because you don't even need him. You was probably going to cut him anyway. Yeah. So that's good business. He's getting paid like a top, defensive back, and you want him to play that way. That's the expectation that you want him to have for himself. And that's the expectation that the team and the fans will have for him. I think it's a match made in heaven, like Logan said, for both teams, because there's plenty of opportunity in this Jets offense for a wide receiver like Mechie. So I know we got to push, but.
Well, you guys did a great job hitting on that. Again, definitely excited to see how that turns out. And shout out to them Paulding County boys. And Michael Carter and Smile Munden, both juniors / seconds, by the way. But Buffalo at Carolina, Buffalo rolls 40-9. I don't know how much we need to dive into that one. Bills they need that win, especially after the Falcons loss coming off the bye. New England that ran that take that they really could win the East, or excuse me, the East, aging better and better each week. James Cook goes for 216 and 2 tutties, kind of making that contract like it was well worth it.
Offensive player of the year, Joey? Why not?
you do half that every game, you might be looking like it.
Hey, why not, man? I think he's been great all year.
Hey, it would be crazy to see the Bills get a MVP and then the next year Offensive Player of the Year. That'd be pretty nuts. But yeah, I mean, anyone's takeaway from this game, if you don't look at it and see 40-9 and then see James Cook go off for 216, that should be the only way to take away. This is why you go pay your top guys. I know it seemed like for a while there in the league, everyone was scared to pay a running back, but this is why you do it. James Cook, I mean, Josh Allen's an MVP quarterback. With that being said, having a guy like James Cook who can pop off for 216 is insane. So
that was such
I
a
think
stinky analytics phase, the like anti-running back phase. I
Yeah.
hope we're past that.
I think we
Yeah.
are.
The point that you're making, Logan, I hope we're past that shit because it was so dumb.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
now
agree.
you've got them, you've got Atlanta, you've got
Philly,
typically Philly, San
Lions.
Francisco,
Detroit, yep.
where your best skill players are running backs.
Brees
In
Hall.
a few years, it was kind of like a running
Too
back
soon,
was
too
like
soon.
a running back was
hope-
like having a power forward. You know, no longer
Hey,
really, like he's
Brees
just
Hall,
there.
you said Brees Hall, but you might could say Devon Achane too. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
With the
especially
Tyreek Hill injury,
Right.
Achane's
Yeah, for
good, dude. But yeah, I don't know if you got anything to say, Graham, but that's all I really got is James Cook. That's why you pay a running back.
You already know I love when we give flowers to any dog, so I love when a dog has his day. James,
Nice.
you get my vote. You getting my vote for player of the year this week at least, man. I'll tap in with you next week. You better.
Can I say this real quick? Can we have that as a weekly segment between whether it be you, Trip, Joey, or maybe a collective bargain that there's an NFL dog of the day?
I like that.
You know, we can make that
I
work.
think Graham's onto something with that. Dog of the day. Y'all being Georgia fans. I mean, I'll sit it out, but dog of the day sounds like a pretty good little 2-minute
It kind of
segment.
feel like it would be right if Joey, if in Joey's opening statements for the Georgia game each week, he gave that dog of the day, and maybe he like runs a panel with us through the week. But we'll talk about that at headquarters, man. We can't give y'all too much sauce, man.
Yeah, my bad. I'm
That's for
brainstorming
a
out loud.
Patreon episode only, man. Chill, twin.
Right, exactly. Well, next game, Baltimore. Again, Lamar Jackson list looked like he might have played. But Saturday, I think they confirmed he was a scratch. Tyler Huntley leads the Ravens to a dub over the Bears, 30-16. I'll tell you what, Caleb Williams is really. And I know, obviously, this isn't maybe the game to express it in, given the result, but really improved a lot this season. And now the Bears. I think the Bears are the first team out of the NFC playoff picture. So the Vikings are in last, which I never would have guessed that. But I've really been impressed with the Bears. I really want to hone in on Baltimore real quick though, because right now it just disappeared on me. Right now, Baltimore is 2-5. Steelers are leading the division 4-3. If Lamar Jackson comes back next week and these boys get rolling, it could get scary in Pittsburgh. I will say that. It very well could get scary in Pittsburgh.
I agree 100%. I think what kind of feels like the one spot for the taking in this playoff picture when you look at it, I don't see the Chiefs. I don't see them dwindling out the Chargers or the Bills. And at this point, Patriots and Broncos and Colts all seem like they're rolling. The one team when I'm looking at the playoff picture is the Steelers being 4-3. That might be a team where, like you're saying, Lamar gets healthy and they sneak back in there. But I think the biggest takeaway from this Ravens game for me is Huntley this week had 3 tuds, 0 turnovers, where last week it was 0 tuds, 3 turnovers. So literally complete opposite games. This is a prime example. I don't believe in the Bears. I don't know how the Bears don't come out and beat a team that's so banged up and missing Lamar, but I don't know. It's going to be hard for me ever to believe in the Bears, but this is a solid win for Baltimore. And like you said, if Lamar gets back, maybe they can sneak back in this.
I'll tell you what, too. Romo Dunze is the real deal.
Yeah.
They
He's been balling all
acquisition
year.
haven't been bad in Chicago, bro. I'm honestly bought into the idea of what they got, and y'all are hitting on a lot of that. Like They've got players on all sides of the ball. Jalen on defense. You got Caleb progressing the way he should.
DeAndre Swift having a really good year.
Swift isn't bad. Like, I don't know, man. It really is hard to call that situation because I don't think like a lot of the Caleb slander is justified, man. I agree with y'all on that, man.
Hey, I will say this: I do not believe in Caleb Williams. That is my biggest ick on the Bears is Caleb Williams as quarterback. I think he's done nothing but. I mean, he had, I guess, the Heisman season at USC, but I don't know. It's hard for me to get behind Caleb Williams personally. I don't see him being a winning quarterback, and I might eat my words one day. I like Ben Johnson as a coach, but
yeah, I'm never closing the book on a quarterback in his second year, no matter what the case is.
Dude, my book. I closed that book when he was still at USC. I don't believe in him. I'll be
fair
honest.
enough.
Something about him just I can't get behind. I don't know.
Well, we'll go ahead and move on to Houston getting a surprise win against San Francisco. CJ Stroud has his best game in a while. 318, 2 touchdowns, 30 for 39, I believe. It's just again, it's the NFL. This is what happens. Teams that shouldn't win games. Again, like I said earlier, San Fran, arguably the best coach team in the league, especially given their injuries. But when you're missing that many guys, you're due for this to happen. I still don't really see Houston making any kind of playoff push or even a push in the South over Jacksonville or
Indy,
especially Indy. But it's nice to see CJ Stroud, somebody who's real easy guy to root for, in my opinion. Kind of get his flavor back and do his thing. So I was glad to see that.
Yeah, to me, one thing that's kind of crazy, and I know, let me see if I can find it. Houston ruled the time of possession, if I'm not mistaken, on this game by quite a bit. It was, 41 minutes compared to 18. I mean, Houston had the ball all game. It's hard to win a game like that.
Yeah.
My first thought is, why is McCaffrey not more involved in this offense this game? He only has 8 carries. He had a few catches out of the backfield, but this was the first time watching a Niners game because I did watch a little bit of this game. I was at Hudson, so it was on the TV. This is the first time I've watched them and thought, like, it looks like the injuries are catching up to them. And I think this was a great opportunity for Houston to have the best game they've had all year. Houston looked good this week. Looked like what I expected them to look like all year. Stroud had a great game. So to me, this one kind of makes sense. It's just with the way the Niners have been rolling, it's kind of a surprise. But at the end of the day, no one expected the Niners to be in this situation with all the injuries they've had. So
has San Fran gotten rid of the injury bug since the Super Bowl loss? I mean, I feel like every 2 weeks since that Super Bowl loss, and Jarvis Ward unfortunately popped his freaking Achilles in that Super Bowl.
Yeah, running on the field.
Since then it seems like it's kind of been every 2 weeks.
I thought it was Greenlaw. Was that not Greenlaw?
Pardon me, I might be wrong. Maybe it was Greenlaw.
Regardless, though, that doesn't change the fact you're 100% right.
Yeah, I knew it was one of the two from that tandem, but it kind of just feels like they haven't been able to shake it since then. In light of what Logan was saying about C-Mac, I do think C-Mac is perpetually hurt. It's just kind of like he knows how to manage it throughout the year. And it's not that I want it for him, but Buddy have gone through some real serious injuries, man. And I think the speed that he came back from some of those injuries, especially in Carolina, we all know how that shit takes a toll on your body after a while. He's a tough guy and obviously one of the most talented players in the league week in and week out. But I do think he is getting load managed. And it's just one of them tricky things that obviously from a competitive standpoint, San Fran is never going to be all the way transparent with us about where those guys are at with that shit until playoffs come. But yeah, they'll be up and down. But I do think they'll still sneak in, Logan. I think they'll still sneak in.
Yeah, I mean, I still got faith in the Niners mainly because they're coaching and they do have talent out there still. But I think my biggest takeaway is like rushing McCaffrey 8 times. Yeah, it's questionable. They only had 10 rushes all game, and 2 of them, the other 2 were by Mac Jones. You went out this offseason and got Brian Robinson Jr., who's a solid running back, and I thought you were doing that so you could load manage McCaffrey. I didn't think you would just get away from running the ball. I thought it would be McCaffrey has a guy who's backing him up who's a solid – because Brian Robinson Jr.
What happened to Jordan Mason in that running back committee, man? They used to have a room by committee.
Mason left.
Yeah. I
Mason
know, but
left.
I'm saying, you got to replace guys like that, man.
Yeah, and that's what I thought they were doing with Brian Robinson Jr. So seeing only 10 carries and 2 of them are by your quarterback is kind of crazy to me. But at the end of the day, Shanahan, the reason they're 5-3 is because they're coaching. So I'm not going to doubt their coaching. And also, when you only have the ball for 18 minutes of a ball game, you probably feel like your back's against the wall and you got to score quick. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's not really the result I was expecting, but Houston finally looks good for once. So maybe they can try to turn their season around here before it gets out of hand.
Yeah, teams are due for stinkers. We know that.
Absolutely.
If there was one game I'd be okay with us not talking anything about, it's this next game, Tampa at New Orleans. Tampa wins 23-3, but Bo Nix, his name's right below. Baker Mayfield throws for 152 yards. Like, if vanilla ice cream was a game this week, that's it.
Oh, I love vanilla ice cream.
Yeah, but it's just normal. It's just plain.
No, yeah, I know.
Like,
No, I agree with this one. I agree for sure.
One of the best.
It was a bowl of Raisin Bran, twin. What you talking about?
Yeah, that's a good comp.
I just think it's funny that you said everyone. I think it's funny you say everyone's due for a stinker, and then you immediately have to talk about that game, which seems like both teams it was a stinker for.
Yeah, but one team happens to be the Saints.
Yeah, no need to continue on that one though.
But Dallas at Denver. Denver walks away 44-24 win. This to me was kind of the most impressive win. Denver looked great on all facets. I know shows 24 points they gave up. That's a little misleading. Fortunately, PS2 goes out. He's on the IR with a pec injury, so that's going to suck. But one play he got hurt. He made a really, really good play on Pickens in the end zone, deflecting a ball. I picked this team to win their division, and ever since then they've just been Graham. I know Graham did too, and they've just been rolling ever since. After that week, I think that win you saw last week is going to be a huge springboard for the rest of the season. Bo Nix is kind of like if a Haynes King was an NFL quarterback, it's Bo Nix. He's got the right guy coaching him.
That's a good comparison, man.
Yeah, he's making all types of plays. This defense is elite, man. And against a really good offense in Dallas, who has CeeDee Lamb back. Dak's one of the best quarterbacks in the league this year. Pickens has been incredible. But sometimes
Denver's defense is who we thought Minnesota's defense was going to be, y'all. And I didn't mean to cut you off, Joey. But
no, you're right. But yeah, just I'm blown away by how good this team actually is. Only 2 losses on the season. J.K. Dobbins, 111 rushing yards, really found his footing in this offense.
Been a great signing.
Huh?
That's been a great signing. Great pickup.
God, I think, Logan, I don't know if we talked about it last week. Yes, I think we did. Sean Payton is so unlikable. It's so difficult to like that guy, but he is
a Brian Kelly in the NFL.
Yeah. He's a freaking good ball coach, man.
For sure.
And it's so obvious that the Patriots and the Broncos going to meet in the playoffs. And that's going to be my last tidbit on this. But I could just see those teams meeting, man.
That's storybook. It's 2 second-year quarterbacks, first round, 2 great coach teams.
I will say this. I think Joey nailed every single thing on the head on this one. I think I am a bit surprised this wasn't – I guess it was a shootout, but I'm surprised it wasn't closer. I thought Dallas would be able to hang in there a little longer than they did, but you're right. Denver's defense looks pretty solid. Bo Nix looks good. J.K. Dobbins, great pickup. Sean Payton, not the most likable person, but damn good football coach. Broncos are looking good.
For sure. Next game, another kind of vanilla ice cream game. Tennessee at Colts. Of course, the Colts keep rolling. 38-14 final. And I meant to say this earlier when I was talking about teams where their best players are running back. Jonathan Taylor might be the best running back in the league this year.
He might be MVP.
It's going to be super hard for a running back to get that, but I totally agree with you. Last year, Saquon should have won it. It'd be a disservice if he keeps playing this way and he doesn't get it. I agree, but the bounce back he's had this year has been awesome. He's another guy that's easy to like, just a workhorse, and it seems like every week he keeps getting better. So I'm really glad to see him. Nonetheless, Daniel Jones, of course, has been doing what he's somehow been doing all season. Yeah,
How could you hate
Tennessee.
anyone from the Colts, bro? They honestly the most likable team in the NFL at this point.
You know what? I'm not mad at that. That's a really good take. That's a
Yeah.
really good take.
A
But
team
the
that
reason why
really
I say
just
MVP,
pulled it out the mud. My bad, Logan. Go ahead, bro.
no, you're good. My bad. I thought we were paused. The reason why I say MVP though, Joey, is we're at they're through 8 games. So if you just roughly double this and I guess add a game, so he would be looking at 1,700 yards and 24 touchdowns. He already has the second most touchdowns in his career this year, and we're 8
Wow.
games in. He's had 11 twice, and then in 2021 is when he had his crazy year, 1,800 yards, 18 tuds, but he's already at 12. Like, he has looked really – he's first in carries, first in yards, first in touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor could be like a secret MVP, and I don't really – off the top of my head, maybe I'm tripping, but there's not really a quarterback right now that's like has crazy good numbers and is dominating that I can think of just off the top of my head.
I think Baker's last 2 weeks
Baker,
have
yeah.
kind of taken him
Yeah,
out.
Baker's
Oh, but you're right though. Yeah.
Mahomes has been really good. They love him. So
voters fatigue is a real thing, though, in my opinion.
yeah, but he hadn't won MVP in a couple of years. So
yeah, but it's the Chiefs. They've been in the Super Bowl they've just been in your face. So it's like it's a little,
Did y'all already call him Saquon from last year? I'm pretty sure y'all did, right?
I said Saquon should have won MVP last year. So
But yeah. I mean, Jonathan, he's having that same type of year this year for sure, bro.
for sure.
Okay, so let me move on to the next one. Green Bay at Pittsburgh, kind of thought to be Aaron Rodgers' revenge game, and Jordan Love said, "Hold my beer." Threw for 360 yards. He was incredible that night. I don't know if I ever believed that it would be an Aaron Rodgers non-revenge game. I don't know if I was ever believing that. But I'm really worried about Pittsburgh. Is this another time when another season where we see Tomlin don't win a playoff game, which we talked about at the beginning of the season? I really got a lot of questions about them. I'll be 100% honest. But not the Packers. The Packers.
I do too. And nothing good will ever come out of wearing them stank ass jerseys, Joey. I'm gonna let you know right now. Any week that they put them motherfuckers on, nothing good will happen. Even if they win, something bad will happen with them jerseys on. Logan, cook up.
Okay. On this game, I want to get into something kind of to do with this game, but also not this game. So Jordan Love looked great. I think maybe Joey last week was when you were saying you're kind of sold on Jordan Love. You're not really a believer anymore. I don't know if you can hear me right now, but
sorry, boy, I'm doing a little maintenance, but I can hear you.
You're good, but boy, did Jordan Love. I guess he heard you, bro. You lit a fire under that man. He looked great. They were doing it the tight end day or whatever, tight end day. Tucker Kraft went off. Tucker Kraft looked like an absolute animal this game, which is insane how good he looked. He ended up with 143.
But he was leading receiver, wasn't he, Logan?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
So going into this game, Aaron, I want to just do this real quick with you guys because I ran through the 4 in my head and actually got it dead on the nut, like dead on the money. Going into this game, Aaron Rodgers could have became the 5th quarterback ever to beat every team in the NFL. Can you guys name the other 4? Because I was able to do it pretty quick. Like
Brett Favre, Peyton Manning, Tom
Breeze.
Brady. And you said there's one more?
Breeze.
Yes. Boom. Dude,
yeah.
How crazy is how lucky are we as football fans to be able to win? Because all 4 of them had great careers. So how lucky are we as fans to be able to just sit back and it's so recent. We just boom, boom. That's the same way I did it, Joey. We just ran through my head, bow, 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 bow.
Yeah.
And I was like, then I looked it up and I was like, yep, it was those 4 guys. So I just thought that was a cool stat. It would have been cool for Aaron Rodgers to join that club. He fits the greatness of all 4 of those other quarterbacks. So
100%.
But yeah, Jordan Love shut that shit down. He said, they got rid of you for a reason, bud. The future is now. So shout out to Green Bay. They look great.
Damn, bro. I just realized when the Jets beat the Packers in Wisconsin, Zach Wilson was our quarterback, not Aaron. I was like, damn, he beat the Packers already. How did that not? But then I'm like, shit, that was Zach Wilson. And I'm not even trying to be funny. Damn.
It's funny to think Zach Wilson was winning football games.
Hey, that's a whole nother rabbit hole and conspiracy.
Yeah, you're right. Let's not do
Yeah,
that. We spent enough on the Jets. Don't do
Graham's
it.
made it past that. Why bring that back up?
Hey, you're right. Hey, he hasn't been able to talk Jets in 3 weeks. All right, we had to let him have a moment
You know
today.
what? Fair
Okay?
enough. Fair enough. We'll have to, Graham. We'll have to all get together and go watch the Falcons and the Jets play this year.
Yeah, I thought we could all put on some velour and link at my spot, and that'll be the first live stream episode. You know, why
Okay,
not?
sounds good to me. But another game that I don't know how much we want to get into, Kansas City and Washington. Jane Daniels not being there kind of discounts everything Washington does for me, but doesn't change the fact that the Chiefs look like they got rolling again, and they're here to wreak havoc on the league, which is
Joey,
not
this is
fun.
the fans union. We talk football, not this ain't the Seance Network, man. We don't speak on the Chiefs on this channel, man. You know that.
Hey,
Yes.
I just got one question about this Monday night football game. Did you guys smell that? Because this shit stunk. It was horrible. Get it off my TV. I was so tired of it. Travis Kelce looked good for the first time basically all year. That's my biggest takeaway from this. Other than that, this game stunk. Like, I was so mad to see Marcus Mariota being a starting quarterback in 2025 on my TV on Monday Night Football. And
Yeah, I was
that's
watching.
all I got to say.
I was
about
watching
this
a
game.
lot that night. I was watching that was the World Series was on that night. That was the 18-inning game.
Yep.
I was watching the Pistons and the Cavs before that, and then the Lakers came on. So I had plenty to keep me on from that one. But yeah, this game was not a fun watch at all. So loaded week though. Graham, I'm glad that we could get you in again here on this. Logan and I have been doing the NFL episodes. Just running the 2-man game, but now we got a little 3-man weave going.
Definitely. We about to implement the triangle offense when we get Trip out of purgatory.
Right.
You already know what's up.
So, okay, cool. Well, if you guys here, I'll go ahead and want to share a couple things with you before we do. Really just I want to share one thing before we pick these games. Is the NFL this thing will pull up for me. Here we go. Is the NFL playoff picture. Right now, what both sides look like. So right now, number 1 overall seeds in each division, AFC, the Colts 7-1, Packers 5-1-1. They had that tie to Green Bay. And if you can see here, Patriots lead the East, Broncos lead the West, Steelers lead the North, Packers lead the North, Eagles win the East, Bucks win the South or lead the South. The Seahawks lead the West. Wow, I mean that West is absolute mayhem. But you look, other 2 teams are 5-3 and 5-2. So I mean that's just a really good division overall. And you've got the Jags and the Bears kind of sitting right outside there, looking for the hunt. The Falcons before they go on their streak to become a playoff team, as we all know is coming, right?
Keep moving.
Not happening.
It's an immovable force and an unstinkable object. Unstinkable object, so something's got to give at one point.
Yeah. So, but yeah, just want to give a little update where we're at. Of course, trade deadline next Tuesday. Real quick, Graham, before we pick these games, one thing that you want to see the Jets do before the trade deadline. Myself with the Falcons, I want to get a receiver in there. Drake London obviously has some injury problems. When he's been there, he's been elite. But when he's been out, the Falcons' passing attack, I don't know, pass offense sounds weird. Air attack has been really anemic. So I'd like to see them get some help.
Are you looking for a more of an X, or are you trying to get somebody in the slot? Shit, throw a name out there. Why don't you?
Separation is what I'm trying to get. I really think Jacoby Myers could be helpful.
I like that. When you brought that up earlier, I wasn't mad at that at all. I think
I'd really like to see that, but who knows?
Yeah. No, I agree. The Falcons and a couple of other teams, it's a little bit more obvious than the Jets. With us being 1-7, I definitely am not trying to look for us to trade for anybody who isn't really going to move the needle. There's no point in picking up supplemental pieces to this team right now. Any position that's already injury riddled, you need to clean out anything that's on the depth chart already and look at who's keepable and who's not. So I don't want to see us, trade for any surplus pieces. With that being said, I do think that, trying to address the safety position one more time before we go into the draft next year will keep us from drafting a safety too high, is what I will say. I think that we can put somebody in that position that we're trying to eventually have Malachi Moore start in. And Cisco, I don't know if you saw Andre Cisco, the guy we picked up, I think either off waivers or from the Jaguars. He tore his pectoral, so he's done for the year. Number 8 for the Jets. So I think that's what we need to address. We need to go out and get a strong safety. And if we're going to give up draft capital, go ahead and give it up for a guy who's 25 and has, 5 or 6 more seasons of solid ball, ahead of him, and get somebody who can really improve that room and be a leader for Malachi Moore. That's what I'll say.
All right. That's very insightful as always, Graham. Thank you. Logan, you want to add in something before we pick these games?
I'm going to double down on what I said. Jerry Jeudy or Jacoby Myers makes sense to me for the Falcons.
All right, sweet. Well, let's go ahead and pick these games real quick. Starting off this week, tomorrow, Baltimore at Miami. Looks like Lamar is going to be back tomorrow. Baltimore's 7.5-point favorite on the road. Yeah, Lamar's back. I'm taking them against most teams, but definitely against Miami. Give me the Ravens.
Same with me.
Clean sweep.
Yeah.
Clean sweep. Right. Another one that may be another clean sweep. Which, by the way, Graham, your Jets have a bye this week.
I get to celebrate for 2 weeks in a row.
I'll say 2 wins in a row for the Jets.
There you go. Well, hopefully we make it a little sweeter for you with the Falcons at New England this weekend. Obviously, it'd be nice to see your rival lose, but that's not going to happen. The Falcons the Pats are 5.5-point favorite. Falcons are not very good on the road. Poorly coached. That's kind of how that goes. New England's going to win this game for sure.
I can't believe it's only 5.5 points, and I'm not even trying to be disrespectful.
No, I thought it'd be higher too.
Yeah, I see them winning by 10, and that's me being kind of courteous. It could get ugly, honestly, especially if Raheem's really out.
Yeah. New England is going to break our hearts. It's in Foxborough too. So, yeah, boys are buzzing in New England. I think they're going to continue, and I think the spiral is happening in Atlanta, boys.
We'll see. I'll tell you what, I'm really excited regardless. The 1 o'clock games are very fun to watch at Foxborough. I don't know what it is about it, but I'm really excited to watch that. It's going to be cold. Probably going to be cold down here. Might have to wear some warm gear. Logan, I think Logan and I are getting together for the game this weekend. If you ain't got nothing going on, Graham, I'm not to invite you over stream, but I just wanted to at least put it out there.
Hey, real quick, let's not forget about our boy Tripp. I'm going Lions here. Gotta represent all of our teams here.
Yeah, I totally meant to put that in there. I didn't realize they skipped over with Atlanta. My bad.
I got you, Tripp. Don't worry. I'm riding that Lions bandwagon with you. Or you're not on the bandwagon,
shade,
but
Joey. Tripp might be calling the group chat now.
Yeah, he'll be all right. Yeah, I do. So Detroit 8.5-point favorite. Detroit's the better team. Minnesota's going to get a win this weekend.
I like that call though.
I'm not mad at it, but
yeah, Detroit by a tud though.
They got a lot to answer after last week, I think, and still have great coaching, great players. You still got arguably the best receiver in the league in Justin Jefferson. Obviously, it's going to be a struggle getting the ball to him. I'm pretty sure Wentz is out for the year, right? So
yeah,
gonna have to see how they answer that at quarterback. But you know what? Actually, now that I think about that, never mind. I just thought about the quarterback situation. Give me Detroit. That's my bad.
Yeah, that's why I looked at you like that, because I'm like, I don't think JJ's been a clear cut to come back yet.
Yeah, so yeah, I'd take that back. Detroit.
And they can keep it close, like you were saying, Joey. It's going to just be even more frustrating when J-Mo catch a bomb at the end to win by a tud and start humping the end zone. Like it's the inevitable, bro. The Lions are rolling.
So, okay. Well, next game, kind of probably the biggest game from the 1 o'clock slate, in my opinion. Indianapolis at Pittsburgh. Indy 3.5-point favorite. Give me the Steelers. I talked to Logan about this and used this example specifically. And obviously, it's not the playoffs, but if I would take the Colts if they were running into the playoffs, best record in the league, and they run into the Steelers week 1, I think that could be a scary matchup for them. And I think you could see that come to life here. So I'm going to take Pittsburgh.
Yes, I do think it's hilarious because me and Joey literally, and these were the two teams that came up, was like a veteran
Did not
team.
look at the schedule either.
Yeah, we did not. We were just open discussion, talked about. I think it was 2 weeks ago, our first week doing the 2-man Pau Gasol, Kobe Bryant offense out here. We spoke on the Steelers like this is the kind of team that seems like they could slip into the playoffs, and then when they play one of these young teams like a Colts, they could easily knock them off because the experience level is just so different. I mean, let's be honest, like the Steelers are due for a playoff win big time. Tomlin probably should get a playoff win, or shit's going to get kind of loud here soon, I think. This is the
pretty
kind
loud
of
already.
Yes, yeah, that is true. But this is the kind of team though where you could see the Steelers being able to upset a team like this in the playoffs. I think yeah, I'm going Steelers. I was wanting to say Colts handles them in the regular season, but I think I'm going to go Steelers. They're playing at home, and they just had that tough loss against Green Bay and what could have been the comeback game or whatever for Aaron Rodgers. So I think I will go Steelers, but one quick point I want to make, Mike Tomlin could be the James Franklin of the NFL this year. A guy who, I mean, I guess he won the big game, but it's been so long. Like, it just –
He won a playoff game in 10 years, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Like just one of those things where you can't get over that hump. I know he did in the past, but the recency, like the last 10 years, like you're saying, you haven't won a playoff game at all. So kind of feels like a James Franklin situation for Mike Tomlin. If you don't start winning some games and win a playoff game, you could just hit the road.
Yeah, man. Having fun matters. Feeling like you're playing with your friends matters. The Indianapolis Colts just have that weird ass, like whimsical vibe about them. Like kind of like how the Mets goofy asses be having when they just like for no reason go on like a 24-game win streak after being the 3rd worst team in the league. Like the Colts got that vibe about them. They just I like where their headspace is at as a team. I feel like they've got enough willpower to get them through a week like this. I feel like conventionally people would say Tomlin would never lose a game like this. And that's exactly why his ass won't be the coach next year, because he's going to lose the game. Indianapolis is going to win. Having fun matters. The Colts are the most fun team in the league. Keep rolling, Colts.
All right, so 2 Pittsburgh, 1 Colts on that one. Probably the game of the week, this next one. I mean, this has kind of been the Lakers, Celtics, Golden State Warriors, or Golden State Cavs, if you will, of this era is Kansas City at Buffalo. When Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen are your quarterbacks in this matchup, this game's always going to have some meaning. Has some classic matchups on this one. Could have another one on the way this week. Buffalo at home, but Kansas City's a 2.5-point favorite. I think Buffalo is ready to make a statement this week that, hey, that team you saw against the Falcons, that's not who we really are. Obviously, they had a huge offensive explosion last week, especially on the ground. Kansas City does look really good right now. But I like Buffalo to come out on top at home. Not that they're going to win every home game, but the last time Mahomes is going to be in this stadium. And I think the Bills want to leave that one on a positive note. So I am going with the Bills.
Go ahead, Graham.
Rasheed Rice playing this week, right?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Back.
You know, I see some of the dark arts coming into play right now. I don't know why my mind just it's getting overpowered by these dark forces, man. And it's these Chiefs, bro. Somehow, some way, Chiefs come out with a dub. I got Mahomes leaving that with Orchard Park with a dub, man.
All right. I'm gonna go Buffalo on this one with Joey. Kind of like Joey said, it kind of feels like they're after last week ready to roll. Have that deflating loss against the Falcons. You get a bye week to regroup. You come out and put up 44. Your quarterback or your running back rushes for 216. I do think Buffalo, to be a real Super Bowl contender, they need to go get a receiver. I do believe that. Jerry Jeudy comes to mind. Like I said earlier, when it comes to them, I think Jerry Jeudy could be a real wide receiver one for a team, especially when Josh Allen's your quarterback. So maybe a guy like Jerry Jeudy can go help them. Maybe a guy like Jacoby Myers who could be, I don't know if I would consider him a real wide receiver one, but he can put up some yards and be your wide receiver one if that's what you need him to be. So I think Buffalo's a wide receiver away from being a Super Bowl contending team, but I think in this one they got enough to get it done. So I'm going to go the Bills on this one.
All right, off to Sunday night's game. As long as Jaden Daniels isn't playing, I'm not picking Washington to beat anybody. Seattle's the best team in the West right now. They are clicking on all cylinders. I got them leaving this game with a dub. They're a 3.5-point favorite on the road, but it's not going to change my opinion.
I agree with that. I got Seattle too for the same reason. If Jaden Daniels isn't playing, I almost said Mick. If he's not playing, I don't believe in Washington at all. And with that being said, Jigba should be back this week. So you got Jigba, Cup, prime time with Sam Darnold. I think this could be an opportunity where the Seattle Seahawks kind of raise some eyebrows. Like, wait, the Seahawks are good? Because I feel like they've kind of been flying under the radar, not been on prime time at all. So this is a first chance for Seattle to come out and put themselves on the map with some casuals. So I think they might do that this week with a win, obviously.
Clean sweep out of me.
All right. I think we all kind of saw that one coming. All right. We're going to wrap it up with this one. Wow. You can go to a game at Cowboy Stadium for $16. Man,
That's a steal.
Yeah. I think I would do that if I were in the area. Arizona at Dallas Monday night. Cowboys had obviously a pretty embarrassing loss last week. 2.5 point favorite against Arizona. And I like him to beat Arizona. Obviously, Brissett's been playing really well in the absence of Kyler Murray. I don't know if Kyler's back. I probably should do more thorough research, but
I think he's projected to be back this week.
Is he? Yeah. I still like Dallas. I like their offense better than anything that I like on Arizona.
Yeah.
I see Dallas having the bounce back week that y'all kind of predict Pittsburgh to have. So, yeah, give me the Cowboys as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you guys. Don't got a lot to say. Kyler is supposed to be back, but I just don't believe in the Cardinals at all. So, going to roll with the Cowboys to kind of like Graham saying, have a bounce back after getting kind of blown out by Denver. So,
all right, that's it, guys. Appreciate you sticking with us, Graham. Always a pleasure to have you. Whenever the world needs to see you, you're like Batman. When the world needed the most, there you were.
I do what I can, man, especially for the fans.
And after the Jets when we had to.
Oh yeah.
But guys, again, appreciate you. We're gonna have this posted Thursday morning. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure subscribe to us out here on YouTube. Give us a follow on Instagram. That ain't everything, fellas. I think we're good to head out.
Salute.
Peace.
R.I.P. Nick Mangold.
Yes.
Shouts to Big Nick, man.